Hi, this is Kylie. Welcome to my studio. So in the Mixed Media Emporium Facebook group, we are into our 5th week of August and the prompt of recycle, repurpose and reuse. And since this is a 5th week, what we're saying this week is you can do any project you want, so long as it's about RRR, recycling, repurposing or reusing. And what I'm going to show today is how to make an easy little journal, little booklet, just from one sheet of paper. Now I'm going to use a piece of drop sheet paper, that's what I have here, but this is also a good project to use if you've got any of the kind of 12 by 12 scrapbooking papers that you're perhaps not quite so keen on, and I'll show you how I'm doing that as well. But this is a piece of drop sheet. I've torn pieces off it in the past just to use as collage, but what I'm going to do is to cut a section out of this. Now this little book can be made really with any size of paper. So here we go, I've cut a couple of pieces out, just going to use one of these. By and large you want to make sure that all the edges are straight basically, because the way we fold it will determine, if it's not straight you won't get nice neat lines, but you know, if it's a little bit off it doesn't matter. So I've got my paper horizontally, and what I'm going to do is to take the long edge and fold it to the other long edge, and I'm just going to use my bone folder to get that down and in place. Now this bit of paper has a few rough edges on it, so but you know, I'm just going to work with it. I'm then going to take the two short ends and fold them together. And this is such an easy way to make a little booklet journal thing. And I've used this, I don't know, countless times. And again, I'm just going to use my bone folder. So there you can see I've folded it one way, long edge to long edge, and the other way, short edge to short edge. Now I'm going to take those two side bits and bring them in to that middle line. And again, I'll just put a crease in it with my bone folder. Now the one thing about this type of little journal is that because it's made from one sheet, you're basically folding the paper on top of the paper, so sometimes it can be difficult to get it really neat in the finish, but a little bit of perseverance and you can get there. But I would always say allow a little bit of imperfection to creep in. So there we go, we've got 8 panels there that you can see. So just quickly running over that again, folded long end to long end, short to short, and then folded in the two sides to the middle. Just showing you roughly, that's about 11.5 or 11.75 inches by about 8 inches. It's roughly A4 size. But as I say, you can use any size. What I'm now going to do is to cut along that line. So you could either use a craft knife or you could use a pair of scissors and just snip it. So I'm going to use my craft knife. I'm just going to use a ruler just to try and get as straight a line as possible. So just showing you there, it's those two middle sections. Just using the ruler to even it up, and I'm going to cut from that top line that's going across the way down to the bottom line that's going across the way. My knife's a little blunt, so I'll do that a couple of times. And you can see that. Now what we do, fold that over, and then we just have to kind of push it in the middle a little bit, and we're going to try and make a star shape. It's like creating a mouth there, and then that will go into a sort of star shape. And all I'm going to do now is to go over all the edges again, just to make sure that I've got nice creases everywhere. Once I've done that, I'm just going to create that mouth again and push it together just to show you there how it will fold. Now you can make anything your front page here. You can change it about if you want to. You'll probably find that there's always going to be a tiny bit of overhang. Now the way that I'm going to glue this, you could then adjust it if needs be, but basically I'm going to glue the whole thing together. So I'm not putting any pockets in this one, but I will show you in a moment how to create it with pockets. So I'm opening that up and I'm basically going to put some glue all over it. So just speeding this up a little bit, I'm just putting it around the edges first, just because I want that to be a little bit tackier than the bit in the middle to begin with. And just hoping that that will dry slightly. And I'm just using my finger to smooth it out a bit. What I want is to leave that middle section. I want glue on it, but I don't want it to stick immediately. Now you could use a glue stick for this if you had a good kind of heavy duty glue stick. If you've got thin paper, then you know the glue stick will work perfectly fine. So I'm now going to fold it over and I'm just going to go along those outside edges to begin with, and I'm trying to make sure that I've got those lined up as best as possible. Just taking a second. I know that I've got time to play with my glue. It's not going to be too sticky yet. Pushing that just to show you again that mouth, and then pushing that all together, and then all the insides of the pages will now be stuck and in place. And all I'm going to do now is to go over it with my bone folder again, just to make sure that all those pages are in place. And if needs be, you can move it about a bit, just till you see that it's fully glued together. So just speeding that up a little bit again, you see, just smoothing, straightening. As I say, I didn't have perfectly straight lines on this, so I'm just going to keep going over that, taking off any excess glue. Move it about a little bit, just manipulating it until I get the best possible folds. Now this could be turned any way could be your front page and your back page, etc. And sometimes all I'll do is move it about till either with the drop sheet I get a page that I like, or the one that seems to fit best. And you'll see I just keep moving it about there till I'm happy. Some of the paint was starting to crack on this, because some of the paint was actually quite thick because it had been used as a drop sheet, but that's fine. I'll be going over it at some point when I come to decorate it. So there we go. Kind of decided that this is the way that I want it to be, and I think I'm going to have some fun decorating this in future. And there we have it, a nice little, this will become almost a mini little art journal of some sorts. You could at this point, if you felt your inside pages were overhanging the outside, you could actually just go in and trim them, but I'm going to leave it. So let's move on. Let's look using a piece of 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper. Now this piece of paper, I couldn't imagine ever really using it, but once I put it together into a little journal like this, I thought it was really quite nice. So I've got this piece of paper. Again, can't ever imagine using it. I think there's always pieces of paper in packs. Okay, I could cut the watch faces out, but that's unlikely. So I'm just going to go over the same kind of routine again, and I will speed it up since I kept it slow the first time round. So obviously this is all the same length of sides, but it's basically the same process. So folding the top or the bottom to the top, and then side to side, and all the time trying to get a nice crease in the paper with my bone folder. Now you could do this on a scoreboard if you had a scoreboard, folding it in from the sides now. So again, what I'm trying to do is to create those 8 panels. This is quite a thick paper. I actually got this from B&M here in the UK several years ago, so sat a bit while. As I say, unlikely to use this, so although strictly speaking it's maybe not RRR, it is a piece of paper that was sitting about, just not being used. So just going over that line again. And it's not everybody that has drop sheets, so you know, if you didn't, then you could just do something like this. So again, I'm just going to cut that central point. Just from the one line down to the next. Nearly forgot my cutting board, remembered it just in time. So lining it up again and cutting along the length of those 2 middle panels. It's a little bit more difficult to see on the patterned paper here. Then I'm just going to open it up in the same way, but what you'll see here is, because this was pattern paper, it will actually have part of the pattern upside down. So what we need to do to rectify that is to cut now right along that line. So I'm just going to use my paper trimmer and I'm just going to cut right along there. Taking a tiny bit off, but that doesn't matter, that's fine. Could have cut it with scissors, but I just decided to do it this way for speed. And just cutting off that little tail there. So that's how it would have been. All we need to do now is to turn that piece around, and then when it's folded together, and because this is because it's been folded in this particular way, all the panels are the same size. But of course we now need to start to join it all together. And I'm going to make a couple of pockets in this, but what I want to do is to make the back and the front fairly solid, just to give it strength. You could actually put a pocket in each of the individual panels here, but I want to make the back and the front quite solid. So this piece on the left I'm going to make as my front page. Now I'm looking at that and just thinking, oh, do I actually want that as a front page, or do I want something that's got a little bit more of a design on it? And I think that one's just that little bit better. So all I did was to reverse the pages there. So again, I'm just going to go over all my lines to make sure that they're nice and straight. So once I've done that, I'm now going to create my front page. So I'm going to take those 2 pieces and I'm actually going to glue them together. Now again, you could do this with a glue stick if you had one that was quite a sticky one. But I'm just going to use this kind of tacky glue, just smoothing it out with my finger. And then I'm going to stick the other piece to it. And just being careful to line it up, edge to edge, making sure as far as possible I've got nice neat lines there. And then I'll take my bone folder and just go over that a few times on both the inside and the outside. Just want to make sure that that is fully adhered. And really at this point it would be best to leave it for a minute just to let the glue harden a bit. So I left that not for terribly long, but again I'm just going to go over my lines, making sure that as far as possible they're nice, they're straight, and they've got a good crease in them. So now what I want to do is to create my back page, and 2 pockets, and you can see that where my back page is going to be is created by pushing that bit in, and I'm going to create a pocket there and a pocket on the other one. So just got my circle punch. All the time I'm just double checking, making sure that I am going to punch the right page, and just checking where I want to put the little notch. So I'm going to do that there, and punch that out, and I'm going to go to the other side towards the nearer to the front page, and I'm going to punch it out as well. And now I'm going to glue my back page, and you can see there where the back page will be. So that's the thing, that's the one that I now need to glue together. Okay, so I've got that. Now just going to put glue onto that piece. So it's these 2 panels here that will be glued together, and you would see that through that I kept just double checking that I was going to be gluing the right ones. And I shall push those together, again just lining up. You can see how that's going to work, but you do need to make sure that you push it right into that gap. Just using my fingers there to do so, and then the bone folder, and again making sure that the 2 sides are fully adhered. And I'm just going to do that on both sides. And again I'm going to leave that little minute, because there is the possibility that it will actually lift a bit. A heavy weight on it at this point would be a good idea, but I've just left it. So there we go, I've left it a minute, not terribly long. Just going to fold the lines again. I always find that just using a ruler as that kind of straight edge just allows me to bend that. If the glue isn't properly dried, then you do risk kind of tearing it or getting the fold in kind of the wrong place. So the book is now starting to take shape, and what I want to do now is to create the middle pages that will also have the pockets in them. And I'm going to do that by gluing along there and along the bottom and up the side. But I don't want this to be just one kind of large pocket when it's wide open, so I'm actually going to put some glue down that centre as well, so that it will actually end up creating 2 pockets. So just using the same glue, some down that centre seam. Now what would be better would be a glue with a thinner nozzle on it. You see I spread it out, perhaps just a little bit too thick there, but it's fine. Once it's done it's okay, but a nice fine nozzle glue would be quite good with this one. So along the bottom, up the side, I'm just going to spread that out. Just taking it along and on to the other one, just to use up the excess glue. Then going to fold that over, again just trying to match up my edges and my corners. Getting any excess glue that's coming out at this point. I had been quite generous with the glue. And then going over it with the bone folder, just to make sure it's fully adhered, catching any odd bits of glue here and there. So as I say, it's a free week based on recycling, repurposing and reusing. So if you're in the Mixed Media Emporium, please feel free to do whatever project that you want that's RRR related. And this is just here as a little bit of inspiration to show you how you can easily create a little book, a little journal that you can then have fun painting in, decorating, whatever. I've not done that today, just because I needed to make this quite a quick video today. So just showing you the pockets there. This one I didn't punch the pockets out in, but the other one I did. So I'm actually quite pleased that I used that scrapbooking paper. I don't think I would have used it otherwise, and yet once it's turned into these little journals, I think they're quite nice, quite cute. So Nina will also have a video this week, and I'll leave a link to her video below. And hope to get caught up with comments on YouTube and indeed in the Mixed Media Emporium. I had a few days away, so I'm kind of behind with all those sorts of things. But I hope you've liked this little project, and I do hope that you will give it a try. So as always, take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching. Hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.